Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and this video is going to show the fastest front wheel drive cars in terms of lap time as of the Arena War update. As always, the position counter is in the top left with the best lap time the vehicle achieved in the top right. If you're interested in the performance of all vehicles in the game, check the playlist link in the description or the pinned comment alongside the top speed testing series. If you want to know more information about this testing, including the extent to which it's accurate and how useful it is for you personally, have a read of the full description as everything that you need is in there. And for the performance of any future vehicle editions, feel free to subscribe for new testing videos every Thursday and check out my Patreon or become a YouTube member if you'd like to support me and get testing results early. So we've covered videos in the last few weeks about the quickest rear wheel drive cars and the quickest all wheel drive cars, and those lists were pretty much dominated by supercars with one sports car in each list, being a bit of an interloper. In this list, you're not going to see any supercars and you're only going to see two sports cars. That is the sum total of front wheel drive vehicles in this game in terms of the top two classes. There's not a lot of front wheel drive vehicles and it's kind of an underused class really. I also did these videos for drivetrains back in 2015 and there's been very little change when it comes to the front wheel drive vehicle listing. Really only the ISI Classic is completely new. And yeah, there's only 17 cars in the game out of 431 in total, which is pretty crazy. And in terms of this list, the vehicles that you're seeing the top 10, the other 7 vehicles in order of lap time from quickest to slowest are the Dilettante, the Ingot, Camper, Journey, Dock Handler, Air Tug and Lawnmower. Those are the only other front wheel drive cars in the game out of 431. The rest of them are all, including the ones in this list obviously, the rest of them, all the other 400 plus of them are either rear wheel drive or all wheel drive. So it's a bit of a shame because, you know, front wheel drive is interesting. By the way, we're already at the only sports cars in the listing that we're going to see with the Blister Compact and the Go-Go Monkey Blister. And when you've got something as slow as, you know, something that's in 60th and 59th places in the sports class, something so slow as the two blisters that are in the sports class that should be in the compact class, it makes no sense. I'll never get over how the regular blister is in the compact class but the blister compact is in the sports class. But yeah, for the purposes of this list, by the way, the Go-Go Monkey Blister and the Blister Compact, they're pretty much exactly the same car under the hood. That's why the lap times are pretty much almost identical. But yeah, when you've got vehicles like this that are as slow as these two in the top 5, it really does show sort of how slow overall front wheel drive vehicles are and how underutilized it is as a drivetrain in the game. For only 17 vehicles to be front wheel drive is a bit of a shame, and you know, there's certainly more interesting vehicles that could have been brought to the fore, even more quicker vehicles as well. If certain supercars and quicker sports cars had been front wheel drive as well, it would have been at least something different and interesting, but as it happened, we've got very little to choose from. So we're already into the top 3 and we've got the Premier here with a 1 minute 15 lap time. That's 15 seconds per lap slower than the top supercars, the top all-wheel drive and top rear-wheel drive cars. And you know, we're talking about things in the sedans class, the compacts class, as we've seen quite a lot of compact cars earlier on in the list. And then when it comes to the vehicles that aren't in this list, that are below the top 10, you're looking at bigger vans and other sedans, and even, you know, like I said, the Air Tug and the Lawnmower, which doesn't really matter what drivetrain they have in the first place. In second place, obviously here we've got the Surge with a 1 minute 14.9, which, you know, the Surge, as we'll see when we come to do the top speed testing version of this video in a little while after this one, the Surge certainly doesn't have that great of a top speed, so it's not going to hold that second place when we look at the top 10 fastest front wheel drive cars in terms of top speed. But because it's an electric vehicle, it has good acceleration and there's not a lot of competition around here, a 1 minute 14 is good enough for, you know, second place. But ultimately the number 1 hasn't changed since it was introduced way back in the day on old gen. The Pigalle is by far the quickest front wheel drive car. It's the only sports classic car in the game that has front wheel drive. It's the only sports classic car in this list, obviously because of that, and it's a good 5 seconds per lap quicker than the next best. The Pigalle was a a competitive sports classic car back in the day before we had things like the Turismo Classic and the Cheetah Classic, the Pagani could certainly take it to things like the Z-Type and all the other vehicles that we had back then that was a relatively balanced sports classic class back in the day. But it was unique because it was front wheel drive, and it gave something a little bit different to the class. And after all these years, we've not had anything that's come anywhere close to it. It's still by far the quickest, and this is still 10 seconds per lap slower than the top supercars that are rear wheel drive and all wheel drive. So yeah, the front wheel drive class is I feel like similar to the coupes class in GTA. It's been forgotten about a little bit, it's not really had a lot of love, certainly. And when you compare first and second places, as we're going to do here, the difference in lap time is pretty crazy. At this point, obviously, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already for new testing videos every Thursday and update videos when new cars are released in any future DLCs, and check out other classes and other ways to categorize these vehicles down below in the playlist. But yeah, like I said, we're going to have the top speed testing video for these vehicles next week, showcasing the top 10 fastest front wheel drive cars in terms of top speed. And like I said, we've already done all wheel drive and rear wheel drive, both in terms of lap time and top speed. And if you want to check those out, like I said, they are in the playlist, whether it's the lap time testing playlist or the top speed testing playlist. All the links and things are down below in the description and also on the pinned comment for the video as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame when when I've seen vehicles on the Project Homecoming 5M server that I use for the random racing and stuff like that, the front wheel drive vehicles that they've implemented on there, even though they're still smaller in number, rear wheel drive and all wheel drive are certainly the most common to use. They've certainly been a lot more inventive and creative with utilizing the front wheel drive drivetrain. And it's just a shame that we haven't had that with GTA, that after all this time, this list remains largely unchanged for the last 4 years. So, hopefully we'll see some better front-wheel drive vehicles in the future, but I'm not necessarily holding out hope since it's been so long since we've really seen anything of any note. So that's pretty much it for this video. Remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed or found it helpful, subscribe for more, and consider supporting on Patreon or becoming a member on YouTube. Thank you all so much for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.